Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh, good. How you doing?
Oh, fantastic. You're looking good tonight, Ryan.
Thank you. You too, Joe.
Oh, thank you. I did my
I
hair
like.
special tonight.
Oh, it's lovely. I
Mm-hmm.
really like. I really like what you've done with your chest.
I got palm trees on it.
It looks great, man. It
It
looks
does.
great. I
Mm.
love the blues, the greens, and the yellows. It just looks amazing. Your chest is just gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
You're
Man, oh
welcome.
man. Hey, I worked really hard on that.
I can tell.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of beauty there.
Awesome. Anyway, welcome everybody to Don't Worry Wednesday. This is the show where we get off track right off the bat. Um,
Right from the start. It's
from
the
the
best way to start
get-go.
any show. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, this is a show that's all about you guys. This is a show where we go over your topics. If you have a topic you would like us to talk about, you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com and you can click the submit a topic button and then fill out the form that pops out, and we will get it within a matter of minutes, moments, maybe even. It'll be pretty quick. I don't know if
hmm
we. Well, I don't know when the last time we timed it was, but the last time we timed it, it was pretty quick. So
Yeah.
yes, but
Mm.
yep. So you can feel free to put a topic in there, and we'd be happy to talk about it. We are not professional therapists or counselors or a substitute for professional counseling or therapy. We're not police officers or judges or lawyers or doctors or football players or any of those things. We're not actors or actresses. Um,
Or engineers or electricians or
mhm.
jeez, we don't even lay carpet or dress people in
I
clothing.
know, I know.
W-
It's crazy.
We aren't. Yeah. There's so many things we aren't.
There's a lot, but what we are is people.
That's correct.
Yep, and we care about you guys. We want to do anything we can to help. We just want to be your friend. We want to, we want to just be friendly. Friendly friends, right?
Uh, Yeah. Yeah. Unlike unfriendly friends.
Yeah. Have you ever had an unfriendly friend? I've had unfriendly friends before.
I've had unfriendly friends and um friendly unfriends.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You got to watch out for those.
Yeah.
I think the unfriendly friends are easier to deal with than the friendly unfriends.
Correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because then you don't even know you don't know what you're up against half the time. But anyway, we're your friends.
That's our point.
Yep. The point is, we're your friends. We want to help in any way we possibly can. Just offer some perspective, some love and encouragement, and journey along with you through whatever situation you may be facing. Um, yeah, and I'm Joe. Above me is Static P, also known as Ryan. And with us is the lovely Princess. How are you tonight, Princess?
I'm doing fantabulous.
Fantabulous. I should have put you on
Fantabulous.
video. You know what? From now on, when I ask you how you're doing, I'm putting you on screen. Seriously, because you always like put a little heart up or something. It's
True.
cute, and I was yeah.
Uh,
So
true.
yeah. So just be prepared.
Uh,
Oh boy, I love you,
uh,
Joe.
I love you too.
does that mean I'll get more screen time if I just do this more often?
No, because you're not
Ooh, you
Princess.
should.
Oh.
Excuse me, Princess.
I'm not really itching to have more screen time. I was just
Oh,
putting that question out there.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
For our viewers' sake, maybe they want some screen time. Guys, just start putting hearts on your screens. If you want some screen time, can't make any guarantees. I'm not a professional. But
You're pretty close to
you
it
know,
though,
I'm not a professional videographer, so
but you are on camera once a week from
that's true.
from 8 to 10.
That's yeah, about that.
And you know what? You're on camera also in other videos that you've posted, at any
Mm,
given time, you totally can.
true. I could be on camera any given time
Mhm.
now into the future
That's
without
right.
my knowing.
That's right.
Oh, that's weird.
Yep. So,
Spooky.
Yeah, I know. So you're closer than some people to professional videographer, I guess. Maybe not.
I suppose I took a lot of those videos myself, but I don't study. Is that videology?
Videography?
Yeah, that's a different thing. Videology is the study of videos, but videography is the what? Oh my gosh, I'm
Like
making
when you
words
do
up, so
it.
don't even worry
Like
about it.
photography. Is there
Yeah,
photology?
photology? Yeah, photology. Yeah, the study of like ancient photos. Um,
Or cartology? Like there's cartography.
mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
totally could be
Yes.
a thing.
All right. Great.
Yes.
Great start to the show.
Yeah, we're
We've already
doing
learned so
good.
much.
But we're not worried about it because it's
We sure
Wednesday.
are.
It's gonna be great. But yes. Oh, Princess, thank you. Is there such a thing as videology though?
No, I can't imagine
There's
that there is.
videography.
Yeah.
Videography refers to the electronic capture of moving images on electronic media such as digital cameras, videotapes, and streaming media.
Aha.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. I've
Yes,
done a fair bit of that.
you have. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
I guess I am a professional because I've made money from it.
you have.
I'm not studied, but I've made money, so that makes me professional.
That's right.
Okay. Well, there we go. We're
You may
both
not have the
professional
credentials.
videographers.
Oh, Princess, dropping the definitions.
That's software.
Videology
Videology is
develops
software.
software.
You asked what it was.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. That's a software development company. Okay. Great.
What is it if you're recording video of film then? Because I've done that actually.
True.
Piracy?
Nice. Yeah, but if it's your own, it's not piracy, but that's a fair statement.
That totally could be it. Awesome.
Filmography.
What?
Filmography? Is that a filmographer?
Filmography. Oh my gosh. And then you've got demography and then democracy and then there's all kind. Whoa.
Okay,
We could
let's
just
try
get
to get
off.
away from this subject.
Man, holy cow.
Let's
We should do a show. So we're doing a new system. So
Yeah.
if you have a topic that's in our queue, if you've submitted a topic, please at Princess in the chat, and so that way you know that she knows you're here, so she can let us know that you're here because that's awesome. But yeah, what do you say we get rolling here?
I do say it.
You say it?
What do you say? What do-
Oh my
That
gosh.
question makes no sense.
RC.
Yes. Yes, I do. No, that doesn't work. What do you say we do this? What do you say we
What do you
What
say?
do you say?
What do you say we do this?
What do you say
totally
makes sense? What Yeah, we do this. Followed up. Man, English is weird. All right, let's do it.
What about woman English?
Moving on.
You said man English is weird.
I did. I get what you meant. Okay. Sure, we'll go with it. Both of them.
It's weird all around. Anyway, so yeah, so we're gonna get rolling here. So yeah, we've got a handful of topics here, and yeah, we just got to figure out which ones we want to do first, and it's gonna be great. Oh, I have a message. I have a great thought. We're gonna do August's first. Yes. Wait. Oh, I need to reload the tab. See, that's the problem. Man, okay, perfect. So we have a topic here submitted by August. This is called My Changing Personality. This sounds very interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it up on the screen for you guys, and then Princess can read it aloud for you, and you can follow along. So Princess, whenever you are ready.
Every time I find myself around new people / friends, my personality definitely changes. You mentioned it in today's June 1st, Don't Worry Wednesday, and it really hit my situation straight on. I always seem to get sillier or shyer, and it leaves me the feeling that I'm not being true to myself, though it doesn't always happen with my best friends. Honestly, it gets exhausting, and it's not on purpose. I just don't want to feel like I'm obnoxious and silly. I don't want to feel like I'm showing myself every time. And I've been feeling like I've been battling this for years.
Mm.
From August.
This is a great topic. August, thank you so much for submitting this. Yeah, this is definitely something, depending on the people we're around, we can definitely act differently. I've certainly done that. And in some cases, we are advised to do that. We're not necessarily, we don't always want to just show all of our cards to every person that, we meet because, first of all, we wouldn't have time for it. And second of all, some things are best kept private, right? Because and that's totally fine. But I definitely understand where you're coming from. I've had multiple groups of friends over the years, and some that I've been more outgoing with, and some that I've been more reserved with. Just kind of depends, probably a little bit on my comfort level with each individual group of friends or people that I'm around. I know most of the time, naturally, I'm an introvert. So if I'm in a crowd of people with a bunch of people that I don't know, I'm naturally going to not say a whole lot, and I'll stand there and I'll listen and be there and probably be a little less than comfortable and look for an exit so I know how I can get out if I need to.
Nice.
But yeah, this is definitely a thing, and I don't necessarily think it's bad, but it's just kind of naturally how we are. So, but there's more that I will have to say a little bit later. But the thing I'm going to do is get out of Ryan's way and let him talk on this because he is very brilliant. I mean, just look at him. Yeah, see? When he makes that face, that's the face of brilliance right there. That's the one.
Aha.
Now
That's
we
the
know.
one.
We got to
When
get
you
you on the
have an
close up.
idea,
Do it now. Do the face
a
of brilliance
brilliant
now.
moment.
Yep,
Aha.
that's it.
I see. Yeah, it's like you're thinking about something. You're like, man, I wish I knew. I would. Aha. Um, that's how it goes, right?
Yes.
That's okay, cool. Well,
That's the
thanks
one.
for getting out of my way. I love that phrase, as if I'm like a charging steamroller or something. It's like, well, I'm just gonna get out of his way because he's about to plow me over.
Yeah.
With with the good things he's got to
I
say.
say it every time too. Like maybe I should come up
Not
with a
every
different
time. You
one.
don't. You don't say it every time. You have all sorts of different openers for it. I feel like I say the same thing every time too, so don't worry about it.
That's all right.
I probably do. Um. Anyways,
But you look good every time,
thanks. I
especially
appreciate it.
with your
That's why I say it the same way every time.
with your brilliance face. I mean, that's the one.
I don't even know if I can be brilliant anymore. I don't remember the face. Um.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, all right, let's do it. August is a fantastic topic here. And yeah, as you said, as you had mentioned, I've experienced this and I've talked about this a couple times before, at least in brief, and I love that you're making it a topic for us. Because I don't want you to feel like you're not being true to yourself. You have to recognize that your true self is many things. It's not narrow, it's wide. In fact, the more true you are to yourself, the more wide of a range your personality has, I
Mhm.
would say. The less true you are to yourself, the narrower your personality becomes. Why? When you're not true to yourself, usually it's out of fear or out of anxiety or out of worry or whatever it is, right? And those things are limiters. They put limits on your expression. They put limits on your ability to, to really identify with situations and become the person that that situation needs you to be. Many times throughout our lives, we might have to become that type of person that stands up for something. And that's really not normal for us. It happens every once in a great while. It's not. So to say, oh, that's not my true self would be wrong. It is your true self. It's part of you. but you've opened up yourself to that experience. You know, not every single situation needs an intense commanding person, but every once in a while we need to become that intense commanding person to do the right thing or to get whatever we need done. Um, and so I would say that rather than looking at yourself as if you're not being true to yourself, recognize that ability to be many things to many people is a greater expression of who you truly are rather than a lesser expression of who you are. Um, I don't know. I I should probably know this. We've had a number of conversations. August, I don't know if you're Christian or not. You can write in the chat if you feel open to share that information. But in Christianity, we are created in the image of God, and God is all things. So as we become, more like God, as in be capable of doing more things, doing more good in the world, uh, we become more ourselves. That's more of an accurate description of ourselves because because we are made in the image of God, and so to become more godlike is to be more ourselves, because that's what we were created in the image of. Okay, your family is a mixture of Christian and Catholic. Cool. Well, there you go. So I just wanted to put that little tidbit out there. I know that not everyone here is Christian. I just want to put that out there, just in case. Cool.
Yes, but I do want to make sure everybody knows you are all Christian because all Catholics are Christian.
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah, Catholics are Christian, so you're all in the same boat.
Yes.
Because Christian is follower of Christ.
Right.
So, at its basic definition. So, anyways, yeah, in my experience, I remember, getting involved with different people and noticing myself, being a certain personality with a certain group of people. But the thing I noticed on top of that was, a year before that, I was not able to do that. Right. Here, my journey went a little bit like this. I took it upon myself to start being more myself, to start being open, to start not hiding myself because I was afraid of what other people think, right? And so I intentionally started doing those things that I was afraid to do out in public that were an expression of myself, that were an expression of who I was. And it was directly after that moment of me opening up and me starting to become more myself that I first noticed me acting different around different people. And it was in correlation with one another because I wasn't able to do that until I recognized I was free to be what I wanted to be. I was free to act how I wanted to act. And so that was my situation. And I'm sure yours is probably similar, August, in that as you recognize you're more free to do things, you end up being more yourself, but yourself isn't always necessarily being shy or being energetic. But you probably find that you're more shy when you're more anxious or afraid around certain people. But shy isn't always a bad thing, right? Shy can just be another word for reserved or not outspoken. So there's varying degrees to what shy can mean in our common era. But anyways, I just wanted to open up with that, just to get the idea that being true to yourself is not really an issue here. In fact, it's almost the opposite of what you're looking at. Being true to yourself allows you to be more malleable in different situations, and being able to change your personality to some degree to fit different environments helps other people out. There are certain people that don't need you being high energy, and if you can be low energy with them, they're going to appreciate you and open up and be happier individuals. But there are certain people that are high energy, and if you come into that and you kind of drag it down, that's not helpful, right? Again, so to be able to express yourself freely is a form of accomplishment, um, and it shows that you're comfortable with yourself in those environments. Anyways, that's my take on it. I'm going to give it over to Joe and see what he's got to add.
Oh, wow. Um, yeah, I love what you're saying, Ryan, and it reminds me of when I first met you, actually.
Hmm.
When I first met Ryan, I met him through his brother, and I was an entrepreneur. I was working on building a leadership development company, and we were basically just expanding. And what happened, what my role in that was, in a lot of ways, was to meet people, to present. I was a presenter, so I'd stand in front of groups of people and speak publicly. And I remember the first time I did that, I was super duper nervous, and it was really crazy scary. And it was weird because it was very foreign to me to go and be around lots of people and to be in front of people. And then after being in front of people, I'd have to go and, like walk through and meet people and shake their hands and talk to them and ask them about themselves and, do all this stuff and get figured out how I could best help them, all these kinds of different things. And I remember as I was doing that, it was exhausting because I'm an introvert, right? And you put me in that place where, I'm in front of people, and then along with lots of people, and different people want to come up and talk to me because I was presenting, right? And so, like, I'd have to go and introduce myself. People would be introducing their friends to me, all kinds of stuff. And so I had to be more of an extrovert in at that time. And I remember it was crazy. Like, I would be going to somewhere. Ryan probably didn't know all this at the time. You might know it now. But when I'd be driving over to meet a group of people or to present, something or whatever, the whole drive over, I'd be like freaking out. I'd be like trying to pump myself up, and then we'd go do the event. And then on the whole ride home, I was just exhausted. I'd be drinking energy drinks to stay up,
Yeah.
because I was so
Oh my
tired.
gosh. Man, we
Man,
used to drink so many energy drinks
I,
back
I
then.
know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
They were healthy energy drinks, though.
Yeah.
Whatever that. They anyways.
Kind of. Um,
Yeah.
healthier than some other energy drinks,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, so but that's what was happening, and I had to be somebody different than who I felt naturally when I was out doing that. I did adopt some of those traits, and it probably made me into a more dynamic speaker in different areas and stuff like that, just by doing that over and over and over again. And then also, I read a lot of people skills books, so I had to learn how to be good with people, all these different things. But it wasn't really me naturally to be that, but I adopted those traits. And I adopted them. I think I did pretty well. I got a lot of great friends, long-standing friends, through this
Hmm.
experience, right? I mean, Ryan is one of them. His brother Kyle, a bunch of the staff at BSS, through this experience, and it's been it was really cool. But yeah, the point I'm trying to make is, it's normal what you're going through. It's normal to be somebody different. And I love what Ryan was talking about, that you're more yourself when you have kind of like multiple personas with different groups of people. Because what's happening is you're not all bound up into yourself. You're more adapting to the group that you're in. So you're a little bit more fluid, you're a little bit more relaxed, and you can kind of go with the flow a little bit more as you're adopting these different personalities that you're whatever. I can't think of the word. I was gonna say exposing, but that didn't sound right. Um, whatever. So anyway, I also so that reminded me of that. But one of the things that was really important was yes, expressing. Thank Princess put it. Thank you, Princess. You're the best. These different
It's better
personas
than
that
what I
you're
had.
expressing, you know, when you're
I was gonna say expositioning.
expositioning that.
Another X word. That's
Hey,
not a word.
right.
All right. Anyways, go on.
And then we're gonna get into like expressography and expressology and oh man,
That's what we're talking about right now.
man,
Expressology.
expressology. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The ology of expression.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, just this past week, I learned something new about all this type of stuff. Right? I was actually talking with my therapist, and we were going through some different things that were happening, and she let me in on this little mental picture that I'd never heard before, and she said, "What I want you to think of as a cone, right? So you think about a cone." And you can think of it like a traffic cone or whatever, but just a cone shaped object, right? And the cone, like, it represents your real self. You can be your real self everywhere, in all areas, with all people. You can be who you really are, and you can express, like we were talking about, you can express a more extroverted personality or a more introverted personality depending on the situation, depending on where you're at. This one specifically was okay, it's a cone-shaped object, and you're going to let a certain amount of your real self out based on the size of the hole, whether it's the small hole at the top or the big hole at the bottom. With the people you trust, the people you're close to, your closest friends, you can use the wide end of the cone and let more of the real you can be vulnerable, you can be, more real, more honest, all this kind of stuff, right? But then in other situations, with other people, with other groups of people, you want to be a little bit more reserved. You're still your real self. You still are the true you. But you can be real with people and not necessarily be vulnerable with people. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's it was a good conversation to have at the time because of different things that were going on, meetings that we were having, and different stuff like that. Because there's a person in my life that I had been led to be vulnerable with, to trust in a way that's vulnerable. And we had this specific interaction that ended up kind of weird, ended up kind of disheartening. And then I was talking to my therapist about it. She's like, "Yep, I want you to no longer be vulnerable with that person. Be the real you, but just don't let it all out. Be who you are, but you don't have to show your whole hand, I guess." And that made a lot of sense. And so then the question is, how do you discern? And that's what I have to try and figure out in those situations. What do I discern? Like, what things do I say? What things do I leave out? All these kinds of different things. And so it's okay, especially when you're in a group of new people or there's a whole bunch of people you don't know, to hold back. It's okay. Because you never know what somebody's opinion might be, what somebody's thought process might be. You never know who they're going to gossip to. You never know what's going to happen with people you don't really know and trust yet. So it's okay to hold back. It's okay to, just still be the real you and be friendly and be nice and kind and answer questions, but you don't have to let it all hang out, right? Now, with your close circle of friends and people that you trust, it's totally okay. It's totally okay to let your whole self out there. And really, I think personally, that's probably the mark of a real true friend, is somebody that can do that with you. and somebody that you feel like you can do that with. And
Great point.
really, from my perspective, it generally takes a while before I have enough trust to do that with somebody. In my, my many 29 years of living, I've been burned a handful of times. I'm sure you have too. I think all of us have experienced being burned by somebody at some point, whether it's a friend that we trust and all of a sudden that trust is betrayed, whether it's a close confidant, it might be a family member, who knows? But when that happens, we're more likely to be guarded and maybe not trust anybody. And that can be really hard. So I guess what's the point? The point is, it's okay. How you are being is totally okay. It's okay to express different versions of yourself with different groups of people. It's totally okay. And
Or
it's
you could
natural.
say different sides of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be a best way to say it, rather than different personalities, just different sides of yourself.
Yep. How many years was it, Ryan, before you ever saw me wear something besides a suit?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was weird too. Oh my gosh. No, that brings back memories. Dang. Yeah, it was years. Years. I don't remember
Years.
how many. It was years.
Yeah.
Only ever seen you in a suit.
Yeah. Well, unless we were in the same hotel room or something and we were changing,
Yeah.
But I was changing into pajamas or like. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was totally, it was crazy. Like for those years, that's who I was. I wore a suit everywhere. And now I don't have to, and it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I don't know. That's all I have to say right now. Ryan, did you have anything else?
Yeah, I do. I just wanted to say, when you experience someone wearing a suit coat and a, shirt and tie and all that kind of stuff for so many years, and then finally you see them wear anything that's not, they look so different. Like it's like looking at me without my glasses on, right? I look like a different person almost.
Mm-hmm.
Them without a suit on, it's like you don't even recognize who it is. Like you look at them and you're like, they look familiar. Who is that? Oh my gosh. I know that person. That's Joe. Holy cow. Joe looks so weird without a suit on.
Weird.
Yeah. But now if we put a suit on, it would be weird. Because I haven't seen him without a suit on in forever.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't seen you with the suit on in years, man.
Somebody's wedding, probably.
Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
so anyways, besides the point, yeah, I wanted to add this a little bit. I just kind of want to talk about the state of recuperation as far as being yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain people that you're going to be around in life, and you're going to feel like, wow, I'm really comfortable around this person. I feel like I can be myself. And it's more of I can be around this person, and at the same time be in a state of recuperation. And what is that? Some people are reserved and some people are outgoing, and they energize, they recuperate, they recharge their battery, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Right, in different ways. And I, as a reserved person, get spent when I'm around people, and especially the bigger groups of people. The more people or interactions I have to make, the more I'm spent, more of my energy that I use up, both mentally and physically, and it's just tiring, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are certain people in my life who I can spend time with, and it will be almost recuperative. My energy is recharged while being around them, even though I'm with a person and I shouldn't be, like, usually I recharge alone. But there are certain people in my life that I know that I can just, it's so relaxed and so comfortable that I can be with them, and my energy is still recharged. And so that's a certain thing that you only get with certain people.
Mm.
And it almost isn't necessarily how close you are to that person. Um, it's more of a personality click in some ways.
Mm.
And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is about a matter of like being close to the person. I think it's usually a mix of both. It's a um it's a being close to that person and having a specific style of personality where you both kind of can recuperate next to each other. And for people who are outgoing, they recharge their battery. They get like super tired and worn out if they're alone, right? And they
Mm.
recharge their battery in a group of people. But
Mm-hmm.
not all people let them do that.
Mm.
Only specific kinds of people. Some people will drain them.
Mm.
Absolutely. And it's usually, I think, for outgoing people, it tends to be reserved people that can drain them. But I don't know. I'm not an outgoing person, but
I'm
I
draining to be around, I can promise you.
not for me. You're great, man. I love you. I could be around you all day, man. It's all good.
I have been
Um,
around you all day. It's a lot of
yeah, it's
fun,
great.
actually.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. But anyhow, um, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's reserved people are easy for exciting people to be around. But I don't know. I would have to have someone else speak for that because I'm not that kind of person. But anyways, I just wanted to add that little bit tidbit on there, some information for something to look out for. It has nothing necessarily to do with being yourself. You might feel like, oh, I'm free to be myself because I'm in a relaxed state, but that's not necessarily an expression of your full self. That's just finding someone with whom you can recuperate.
Mm.
And that is a special find. Not everybody's going to be able to be that kind of person for you. So if you do find a person or a friend like that, I think that's fantastic, and hold on
Mm-hmm.
to that friendship
Mm-hmm.
because it's a very beautiful thing. But that's all I wanted to add to it. So there you go. I'm giving it back to you, Joe.
Giving it back. There's
Mm-hmm.
not much else I have to say on this topic. Um, I want to let you know that it's totally fine. It's totally fine. I know it can feel weird, and we can second guess ourselves and think that we're not being authentic, but you can still be the real you in all situations. It's just different expressions. Thank you for the word, princess.
Yeah.
Different expressions of ourselves. And yeah, it's a totally normal thing, and it's a wonderful thing, and it's really great because it shows that we can adapt to those around us. And that can help in a lot of ways bridge gaps with people. You know, in the Bible, it talks about I become all things to all people, right? I think that's St. Paul wrote that in one of his epistles. Um, and I don't remember which one, but and it's just a way of adapting so that we can be relatable.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're relatable, we are the most likely to make friends, to build
And connect
trust,
with that person.
to connect. Absolutely. Yep. We build bridges to people in their hearts when we're relatable with them. And so it's
Mm.
totally, totally normal.
Beautifully put.
Mm-hmm. It's wonderful. So you're on the right track,
Yeah.
and it's okay. So that's it. So anyway,
Awesome.
cool. Thank you so much for the topic. And yeah, welcome. We got some new people in the chat, I see. Welcome, guys. It's Don't Worry Wednesday, the show where we talk about all your guys' stuff going on. If you have a topic, we would love to cover it. The website is don'tworrywednesday.com. You can click the submit a topic button and fill out the form. And if you do have a topic and you're here, just please at Princess in the chat so she can know that you're here and we can do your topic. So anyway, we are going to move on to an anonymous topic. I think. Well, let me reload the tab again. Make sure. Yes, we're going to do an anonymous topic called The Changes of Life. And yeah, this definitely sounds like an interesting one to me. So I'm going to get it up on the screen as quickly as I can here. It's going to take me just a second. I apologize for my slowness. But come on. It's going to do. There we go. All right. I made it. All right. So I'm going to put it on the screen. Princess will read it aloud. So, Princess, whenever you are ready.
It's an interesting thing to look within yourself and realize that you're not the same. Who am I? I'm not the same person as years ago, or even as yesterday. Recently, I begun to realize that even in ways that I hadn't known, big and small, I am not the same. Long ago, when I was still fresh and ripe like a plump and juicy orange, because oranges are the best and vitamin C makes me happy,
Mm.
I used to roam the streets at night. I felt the cool breeze looking up at the mountains and a bright full moon, and took in the peaceful silence. When we moved, I could no longer do that. It wasn't safe anymore. But now that I'm where I am, it's safer and easier to walk places. I've been doing that again. It's something I missed so much and never realized until now. This made me realize that there are so many things I stopped doing that I missed. Over time, I had gradually lost so many things, some of which I know I can't bring back. But there are other things that have been coming back to me, and with it comes the memories and the comfort it provided me so long ago. I am new, but I am not. And with that revelation comes confusion. What am I meant to do? Who am I meant to be? And more importantly, how do I choose when I don't know what I'll be in years from now and if I'll have the same interests? From Anonymous.
Mm.
Mhm.
Anonymous, thank you so much for the topic. There's a song that comes to mind. It's called Life Might Take Us by Static P.
Hmm.
And it's got some cool breath noises in it.
Yeah,
But the
sure does.
yeah, but that song, we never know where life might take us. So I get excited when there's a change at hand. That's not easy to do. To me, that sounds a little bit like wishful thinking sometimes. Um, or trying to convince myself that I should be excited that there's a change,
Mhm.
because change isn't always easy. And you're right, Anonymous. Sometimes we look at things that we used to do with fondness, and we don't get to do them anymore. One thing I haven't done in years is go skiing. I used to
Mm.
ski all the time as a kid. My mom was a ski patrol person, and so we would every weekend we went skiing every stinking weekend because she was working every weekend, and on the weekends that she didn't work, we still went skiing because it was fun, and she got major discount, right? So it was a
Yeah.
cheap thing for our family to do, and we had a really good time. And yeah, it was great. But I have not done that in probably 10 years, maybe more.
I haven't done that in more than 10 years.
Yeah, it's been a
Probably
long
been like
time.
20.
Yeah, I would probably fall
Not really.
and break my face. It would be something. But, but those are great memories. And I also remember I had a girlfriend, my first serious girlfriend that I had. I remember, we dated for a few years, and it was fine, and then we broke up, and that was heartbreaking and difficult and everything, right? And I remember my boss at the time. I was working at a grocery store, and he said, "Oh, it's not the last time you see her." And I'm like, "Really?" Sounded pretty final to me, like at this whole like, like this whole breakup thing, right? Sounded like it was pretty definitive. He's like, "Oh no, nope, that's not the last time you see her." And the crazy thing is, I have seen her a couple times through the years, just randomly. Like my kids taking swim lessons, like her kids were at the same swim school. It was crazy weird. And we didn't talk to each other, but we saw each other and looked at each other, and we're not necessarily friends, I'll just say. But you know that's kind of how life goes. We move to different things, we move on, toward different things, and And it can be beautiful and it can be sad. And sometimes the sadness can be beautiful too, because there's a fondness that we feel about that thing. So, I don't know. I think I've said enough to get started. I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and see what he has to say. So, Ryan, take it away.
Yeah. Thanks. One of the things that intrigues me about this, or rather, piques my interest, I should say, um, is the uh, last bit of this. You know, you're asking, excuse me, what am I meant to do? Who am I meant to be? And more importantly, how do I choose when I don't know who I'll be years from now? And if I'll have the same interests? Chances are, you won't necessarily have the same interests, but some of those interests will always be interests, at least in light, um, or at least fond memories that have built you into who you are today. Um, but what I aim to say is, in life, we never, most people, I'll say, most people don't have just one single purpose that they are supposed to fulfill their whole entire life. Um, Such an idea would be kind of obnoxious. I mean, imagine you, from the age of like 15, you find out what you're supposed to do, and then you work towards achieving that for the next 60 years.
Mm,
And then immediately you, like, upon achieving that purpose at 75, you die. That's not how life is, right?
mm,
Life isn't like, oh, every person in the world has one specific lifelong thing they're supposed to accomplish that they'll eventually get, and then if they get it, there's nothing left for them to do with their life. And in fact, there's no reason for them to live. It would be obnoxious to say such a thing, right? Um, what we do find in life is that often what we're meant to do is in the moment by moment. Um, I love there's a quote um that's uh um it's a quote, and it says do little things with great love, right?
mm-hmm,
Um and that is a quote to basically remind us, like, our purpose is in the little things. It's in the little moments. Yes, we can have a greater purpose that will drive us, or a purpose that will, um, that we'll be working towards living out in our life, whether that be a specific form of holiness, or a specific, like trying to solve a disease problem, or something along those lines, right? There can be any number of things that moves us forward through life along a path. Um, but most of them are small things. Most of them are the little things we do each day. So when you live your life, and you question, like, what am I supposed to do? I don't even know what I'm going to like in the future. How am I supposed to decide what I'm going to do in the future? Well, I would say there's a reason you like what you like now.
mm.
Um, there's a reason you are where you are now, and there's a reason you like what you like now, and do those things with great passion and great love. Um, and utilize those things with purpose. So I'm gonna help define purpose real quick in a way that my brother did a long time ago, and that was, purpose is like a dream that helps more than just yourself, that impacts more than just yourself, right? Purpose is a dream that impacts others' lives.
Mm.
And while that might not be the true definition of purpose, I think it is a good definition of purpose. It is one that leads us down the right track. When you speak about having a purpose in life, generally it tends to be those things like, how am I making impact on the world? How am I making impact around my friends? And what's my legacy? When I die, what am I going to be known for? Or what sort of things will I have done? And a lot of that is who you are as a person. And that all happens each moment. That all happens what you decide to do, how much good or evil you decide to do in the moment, or you know how you live your life out, um, and how you take those things in which you are passionate about and use them to help other people, or to spread more joy to other people. You know, a lot of times we might forget to emphasize the importance of joy. Um, when you are with your friends and you bring them joy, that's no small feat. That's a beautiful thing.
Mm.
When you are with a stranger and you bring them joy, right? When you go out into the world and you do things and it puts a smile on your face and it makes you a happy person, it tends to spread. It tends to spread to other people, and they see your smile and it gives them a smile on their face, right? When you smile at someone, their natural reaction is to smile back. And so doing things with great love and doing little things with great love, I think is uh, it definitely outweighs doing great things with little love.
Mm.
There are a great number of people who have done great things with little love,
Mm-hmm.
and there are I would say that there are more people who have done little things with great love, and those are the real superstars, right? If you do great things with little love or an absence of love, I mean, Hitler's someone who's done a great thing with little love. I mean, that's just an example, the extreme end of it. But there's also all sorts of different things people have done great with little love, and then we look to those people and we idolize them. But that isn't appropriate because truly, who makes you who you are? Is it the people that have done great things but you don't know? No, the people that make you who you are tend to be yourself and the people that you interact with. And those don't tend to be the people that do great things with little love because they're not putting much love into the world to interact with you.
Mm-hmm.
A great definition of love is to grow in someone as they grow in you, right? To grow into someone, to do something that makes them grow, to do something that when you interact with them, they live out the rest of their life differently. That is an intense amount of love, right? And a great expression of it. And so, to be worried about what you're going to do or be in the future, I think is fine. I think it's great to ask those questions. It's important to look into the future and ask where you want to go and where you want to be, because that leads you down that path. But it's equally, if not more important, to just do the things that you're passionate about doing now while you're passionate about them, because you're not going to be passionate about them always. And you don't want to miss the opportunities that you've been given now to express those things and to do those things with great love. So that's that's really what I wanted to talk about, and I hope that made sense, Anonymous. I just kind of want to put those things out there because that's a whole different way of living. It's a whole different way of looking at the world. That's quite opposed to perhaps what is often expressed in modern culture across the world. Instead of worrying about of those things, just be focused on what you can do now. That's way more important. And yeah, I have more to say, but I'll leave that for later. I'm gonna hand it back over to Joe because I'm excited to see what he's got to say about this.
Mm. Me too. I'm kind of wondering what I'm gonna say too, but we'll see. Something will come out of my mouth, and it'll be something.
Yeah, it'll be perfect. Great.
I do want to read some of these things that Easy has said in the chat. There's been some good stuff in the chat here. Easy says, to realize that you are not the same as you were before, to have that sudden occurrence can be quite traumatic or confusing, depending on what it is exactly you lost and in what way you lost it. I saw many a terrible thing and lost many a part of who I am. When I returned from the Middle East, most people can attest that I am not the same man who went over. I lost much more in the aftermath. It is what you do in those moments of transition and in those moments of pain that define you. You are changing, yes. You can never return to what you were, but now is an opportunity. The universe offers us opportunity to become greater or lesser, rise or fall. Yeah, I can relate completely, Easy. That is very
Brilliantly
profound
said.
and wise. And and I'm sorry for the pain that you've experienced because a lot of times transitions are painful. A lot of time, and especially depending on the type of transition you're dealing with, some things are really hard to go through, and that's how life can be sometimes, right? Hero has in the chat, I will say change can also be reassuring in terms of just how far you've come from where you used to be. The lie I tell myself that I'm incapable of accomplishment is always shattered by the truth of the distance I've traveled to be where I am.
Yeah.
And you guys, I tell you, I love, it's great because some of the times it's like I can just read the chat out loud, and that's all I have to say.
Yeah, greatly done, Joe.
Because
I loved what you said about what Easy said and what Hero said. It
I
was
know
really good.
it's perfect, right? Like
I know, right? It's
that's my whole talk.
you guys are so smart.
No,
So wise.
actually, I got a message. I was messaging with a friend, and they said something really profound. They said, "Remember, you haven't come this far to only come this far." Something like that. It was
Mhm.
brilliant because I mean, we go through stuff, right? We go
Mhm.
through painful times. And it doesn't mean that we will always be in painful times. This is me convincing myself that this is true, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Or trying to convince myself that this is true. For those of you who don't know, I'm going through a divorce right now in a custody battle, and it's pretty intense. So there's a lot of pain, and there's a lot of hardship, and there's a lot of crazy, and there's just it's one of the most heartbreaking things I see in this whole experience, though. And I mean, I don't know if any of my family are listening or not, but I can say this honestly and truthfully, and that is that of all the people deciding what's going to happen, there's me, there's my soon-to-be ex-wife, there's our attorneys, there's judges, there's mediators, there's parental coordinators, there's therapists, there's all these people, and they all have a hand in deciding what happens with these two kids. And the two kids who it's going to impact the most have the least amount of say. And I watch that happen, and it breaks my heart. Because, a lot of times we end up in circumstances and it's our choice. We choose a lifestyle, we choose actions, and they create habits, and those habits create, a lifestyle for us. And it can be good or bad or neutral or whatever, right? But then sometimes things are just forced upon us.
Mhm.
And it happens at any age. It doesn't just happen when we're kids, it happens when we're adults too. Sometimes the choices of others are forced upon us, and we have to deal with those consequences too. And that can be really, really hard. But one thing that I remember somebody saying, and I remember Ryan saying this too, is to try and remember to foster a feeling of wonder. You know, you're in a new location. Try and dig in a little bit. Try and wonder about it. Try and have that childlike sense of wonder. Oh, like what could be new in this situation? How is this? Explore the feelings, explore the environment you're in, and explore what it is you're doing, the tasks at hand and the stuff going on, and try and remember to have that sense of wonder. That can be really hard. It can be really, really hard to do, especially digging into painful moments. Easy, you talked about some different painful moments. Where was it? You doing these moments of transition, and in those moments of pain that define you. Pain is something we're going to all experience. Can you foster a sense of wonder about the pain you're enduring? That's something I had asked myself recently. Ryan and I had a really profound conversation the other day, unlocked a whole new mental and emotional level that, well, between Ryan and his brother Kyle, it was like the same day, we both had conversations, and like it was just like all of a sudden like this whole new thing opened up, and I'm just like, holy cow, and it hurt a lot, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And so then I'm like digging in, and I'm trying to like explore this, and I'm like, what is in here? And it can be really hard. Anonymous, you talked about in your post, you felt the cool breeze, looking up at the mountains and a bright full moon, and took in the peaceful silence. When we moved, I could no longer do that. It wasn't safe anymore. But now that I'm where I am, it's safe and easier to walk places. I've been doing that again. It's something I missed so much and never realized until now. There are times we go through struggle. There are times that we have victories. There are times that we have defeats. And there are times that we're struggling toward a victory, hoping for the victory, and we don't see the result yet. I remember a guy who was a very successful businessman. He did talk this one time, and he was talking about the path that he had to success. Now, any pathway to major success is going to be hard. There's going to be a lot of struggle. And I remember him talking about it, and he's like, it's so crazy because when I was going through all those struggles, when I was going through all that pain and that torture, it was like really, really hard. And I was working hard and I wasn't sleeping very much. And, it seemed like it wasn't going the way I needed it to go, but every step was a step forward, even though it seemed like I was going backward and all this stuff, right? And he was talking about this process, and now he's on the other side of that. He's had some major victories. And you would think that now is the most fulfilling part because he's had the victories and now he's enjoying the fruits of those successes. But what he said in this talk really hit me because he said, now that I'm here, my heart aches for the battle. My heart aches for that time when it was hard because it felt like it meant something, right? Now, here's the thing. When we're in it, he also, related that, when we're in it, we don't necessarily feel like we want to be there. Right? But now that he was past it and looking back, he was like, man, those were the exciting times. Those were the times that felt meaningful. Those are the times when I was tired and I was working hard and it meant something. I look back on those and I want those days again. And so, how can we, in whatever season we are in our life, because our lives are seasonal, right? We go through different seasons. Happy times, sad times, painful times, broke times, rich times, all kinds of stuff, right? We'll go through many, many seasons in our lifetime. So whatever season you're in, how do you dig in and how do you experience the wonder of that season? And sometimes I just have to sit back and just let whatever feelings I have just wash over me. I just let those feelings wash over me and I don't even know how to describe it, but and man, I'm going to start crying if I keep going here. I apologize because a lot of times that's what it is these days. It's painful and it's hard. And so the emotions will just wash over me and I'll okay, I'm going to let myself experience this. And I'm going to dig in and I'm going to feel it. And I'm not going to fight it. And I would encourage you, Anonymous, whatever it is, whatever change is happening, whatever new situation you find yourself in, drink deeply of it. Experience it. Experience it fully. Let yourself experience it. Because through that, you will learn so much. You'll learn how to relate because everybody has stuff. Everybody has stuff going on. Everybody goes through these same seasons. They're different, they're unique to each one of us, but we all experience those changes. So I'll encourage you, wherever it is you find yourself, and we can look back on our past and wish for the past. We can dream of the future, and we can wish for the future. We can wish for us to not be in whatever situation we're in. But how often do we just experience where we are and let ourselves do that? I don't know. It can be hard, but one thing's for sure. Anything that happens in this world is temporary. Everything. So as we're going through it, it'd be good to take notice of it. It'd be good to allow ourselves to experience it. So anyway, I've talked for a long time. I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan. I apologize for talking so long. But yeah, Ryan, you said you had more to say, so I'm going to pass it back to you.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad I gave it over to you. You had a lot of really great things to say, so thanks. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Easy says, we ourselves become lost at time. Our light becomes dim, and our eyes become fixed downward. We carry lamp into one another's lives. We need one another. Steel sharpens steel. We are here. We are. And that's true. We need each other and we grow from each other. And that's part of why we change. But it's also why we change is to get into other people's lives, to help them change and move forward. So it's good that we can all be here with each other and support each other as good friends and good people. A couple of things I wanted to talk about. One thing Joe was just mentioning reminded me, and something we mentioned before, reminded me of a there was a priest. His name's Father Mike Schmitz, and he's a tremendous public figure. If you just go online, you type in Father Mike Schmitz, you're gonna get a ton of videos. He's an incredible speaker and just a really great guy. One of the things that he asks every once in a while at like he'll do a live talk from stage, and he asks people, if you could be anywhere in the world right now, where would you be? And he calls out people, and they say, "Oh, I wish I was in the Bahamas," or "I wish I was ice skating." If you could be anywhere doing anything, where would you be, and what would you be doing? And they give all sorts of different answers. And then in the end of all of that, he receives a bunch of different answers, and he kind of follows it up with, "Those are all great things. Those are all good. Those are all very good things that you guys want to do, what you want to be doing. They'll bring joy or fun and or meaning. But the best answer to that question is right here, right now. I want to be right here, right now, because that's the only place you have any power over. The only place that you can do anything in is right here and right now. So to embrace that, to say, I want to be right here where I am right now, to be able to say that puts you in the right attitude for moving things forward where you are right now, to loving, to do things in loving ways, or to do great things in little moments, or make little moments great things. And so I just wanted to touch on that briefly because I thought about it. Two last things I want to talk about are paths. In my life, this isn't going to be the same for everybody, but in my life, I live my life with a purpose, and I recognize that purpose can be many things. It can be, one phrase that I have is to keep the main thing the main thing. And the main thing for me is to live my life as I live my life, to be an example of God's love in the world, to live my life and as I live my life, to be an example of God's light or God's anything, right? To be that example in the world is part of my purpose. But how I do that is in each and every moment. A lot of people go through their lives and they say, I was never gifted with a purpose. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life. And I think that in my case, you know, I set out to say, you know what, I'm going to write music that changes people's lives for the better, right? I'm going to write music that changes people's lives for the better. Is that a one-time deal? No, it's a lifetime deal, really. It's a quest. It's a journey that involves many different things. But the point is, a purpose. You know, a lot of people go through their life and say, "I don't know what my purpose is," um, and the answer to that is, uh, it's not about necessarily. A lot of times, it's not about the destination. It's about the path you're on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a lot of people are looking, trying to find the destination, but they don't see the path they're on. It's about, in this world, there are going to be many, many, many paths, many, many, many opportunities. And no matter what path you take, there you are. And you can always change paths. But the path of purpose is a path of purpose, right? It's a path that looks like you're traveling with a purpose. When you look at someone who looks like they have purpose in their life, you're like, wow, that person has a certain presence about them. They've got an aura about them. They've got this conviction in their eyes. They're moving. Even when they're standing still, they feel as though they're moving with purpose. Because purpose is more truly a path. To live your dream is not to accomplish a big feat. It's that every day you live. And in that time you live, you are living out your dream. Many people have these dreams of like, I want to be, an astronaut, which is great. It's a fantastic thing. But when you become an astronaut, you're living your dream. You aren't looking at something, oh, I've become an astronaut and now I'm done. No, living your dream to becoming an astronaut is every step along the way to becoming an astronaut and then living your life as an astronaut, right? Now, here's the thing. Some people might want something and they might never get it, right? But that's the beauty of living with purpose. Because when you live with purpose, when you recognize that purpose is the path that you live, and how you live out that journey, and how you express yourself and how you receive other people into your life, as though with purpose, receiving another person into your life as though it has purpose. You treat that person magnificently. You treat that person with so much more dignity than you do if you just say, that person has no purpose in my life or whatever, right? And so to live that out is beautiful and extraordinary. But sometimes you look at something like, I really want this, I really want that. And that's not what purpose is made of. Purpose is made of what we've talked about before, the many different things that we've talked about the moment. So I'm a little bit staticky. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
can fix that after I'm done talking.
It's because you're static P,
Um
man.
I am static P. Is
Mm-hmm.
it really rough to understand me, or is it just a little? Okay. All right, thanks. Thanks, Ole. You're awesome. Um, but anyways, I just wanted to talk about the path, for a little bit because that's what I found in my life. A lot of people will say, I've never found that purpose in my life, and then if you reveal to them that it's not about finding the big great thing, it's about how you are as a human being, what you're doing in those moments, those paths you take. No matter what I decided for my life, no matter what direction I'm going in, I make that path purposeful. And I receive the things I receive with a purpose. There are many gifts that I get. There are many things I tend to enjoy, and I take those in as though they have purpose, and that moves me in my life a lot better than when I don't. But anyways, and the last little thing I want to talk about, we're getting back over to Joe, is your statement is I am new, but I am not. And with that revelation comes confusion. I just love this statement. I am new, but I am not. Um, it reminds me of the world, right? There are almost no things new in the world. but it always feels new. Um, History repeats itself. Well, that's not necessarily true, but it sure rhymes pretty close, right? Um, you can see the ups and downs of our society as humankind with all sorts of different things about things being really bad and about things getting better and things getting really bad again. Um, and you can see that in the world, and you can see the world become new, but at the same time, the world is still the same it's ever been. You look at like people will say, "Oh, the world is in such a terrible state. There's all these bad things going on. There's all sorts of terrible things." And I would say, "Well, did you know before this, like there were worse times? Yeah, don't be surprised when bad things happen. Like
Mm-hmm.
the world isn't new. It is new in that it's ever changing, and you get new technology, new politics, new sorts of all sorts of different things, right? And you get new human beings that are running the place, um, and are on it, and it's ever changing. But at the same time, it's not new. You don't have to look too far back into the past to find a worst time. You don't have to look back too far back into the past to find um, a, a very similar experience. Or maybe there's a couple of riots going on right now. Well, there have been riots throughout all of mankind. I mean, that's been a thing. That's nothing new under the sun, right? And so sometimes that's kind of our lives. We are ever changing, and I love that about human beings. We are ever changing. Um, that's a beautiful thing to be human, to be able to be in that state of existence where we're ever changing. We're never the same. We're always moving. And I also love that um, if you understand that, you recognize that change isn't always so far off or difficult. We are afraid of change and we don't want things to change a lot of times. But sometimes um, we really want to change, and we're like, I can't change. I tried so hard, I can't change. But change happens in the every moment. Every time you make a decision, you're changing towards that decision. You're creating habits out of that decision. And sometimes you have to make that same decision over and over and over and over and over and over before it becomes a habit, right? But that's how change happens. Change happens when you make a change in that moment. Change happens when you experience something differently. Change happens when you invite someone in to your heart. All of these things. So, I just wanted to talk about that briefly. I just find it a very beautiful statement. I am new, but I am not. Um, it reminds me a lot of some religious texts, but I'm not going to go there because I don't know at all if Anonymous is religious or not, and there's no need to go into those just to, I don't know, talk about them. But so I'm going to drop it there and give it back over to Joe.
Thank you, Ryan. I love everything you said
Thanks.
because you're
I'm
awesome.
going to fix my audio now.
Yeah, good idea. That'd be good. Now static P can be clear P. It'll be great.
That's right.
It'll be the new name.
Crispy. I like that one. Crispy. I really like that one.
Yes.
All right, be right back
Nice.
with my audio. I won't be
All right.
able to make noise or hear you for a while, so feel free to.
That's all right. Now we can say everything we want to say about static P.
Cool. Well, you got about like.
Oh, you're
10
still
seconds
here?
or
You said
20
you said you were leaving.
Yeah, I'm guys. Sorry.
Keep
Bye.
going.
Bye.
No.
I love that guy.
Yes, me too. Yeah, I love what you. Let's see. There was some other stuff. Oh, easy again in the chat. I speak so much, but I falter. I have faltered recently. What we must remember in those moments is we mustn't let it consume us. We are who we choose to be. Such is the wonderment of our existence. And I really relate to that because I was talking about the wonder of things. Easy also says there are parts of us that can and never will go away, but we can control them or control the way they affect us and our friends. In movements of weakness, identify them and handle appropriately. Easy, we ought to have you as a guest or something. I mean, like seriously, you just got all this wisdom spouting in the chat. I love it. And you're not the only one. We've got so many wonderful people in the chat that, People are so helpful. You guys are so awesome. You guys are so awesome. That's one of the greatest things about doing this show is all of you guys in the chat, because you know, you guys all have stuff to say. And some of it's funny and some of it's fun and some of it's very wise and some of it's helpful, but the great thing is it's like there's this community here and there's this environment that you guys you know, it's so crazy because it'd be really easy to find a troll somewhere, you know, or to attract a troll or something, you know. But you guys aren't trolling each other. You guys are just awesome. I love you guys. You guys are great. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for contributing to the chat. If you're lurking, thank you for being here. We love you too. And anytime you feel like jumping in and saying something, you are more than welcome. And we would love to hear what you have to say. But yeah, I have a quote written up on my whiteboard. It's been up there that for a long time. And it's a quote that I can only attribute to myself because I thought it up. but all it says is
those. All right.
What's that?
I said that I have those too. It's all right.
Yeah. Thank you. Achievement is momentary and fleeting. To live your dream is to work constantly in its arena. So, you know, Ryan had talked about in part of his talk about, you know, we shoot for achievements, we shoot for goals, and it's okay to shoot for goals. It's okay to have goals and try and run after them. And Jim Rohn, an incredibly brilliant business philosopher, Rohn is how you spell his last name, Jim Rohn. I would recommend looking up some of his stuff. He's fantastic. He's very entertaining to listen to and very wise. Yes. And he would talk about, you know, the point of having a goal is not the goal. The point of having a goal is to become a person that runs after goals. So what's it about? It's not about the goal. It's about the run. Just like Ryan was talking about. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. Because, you know, I can remember hiking in the UP of Michigan, Upper Peninsula. And, you know, we're in, I don't even remember where it was. It was either Porcupine Mountain National Forest or somewhere up in the Keweenaw or something like that. And we were hiking and we were trying to get to this destination, this place where this waterfall right near Lake Superior. It was supposed to be this really beautiful thing. And it was beautiful. But the hike was the most memorable part. Because there were parts of it that were hard. There were parts of it that were muddy. There were parts of it where you just got done with the muddy and now you're on rocks. And so your shoes are all muddy and you're slipping on the rocks, right?
Oh, man.
And there's all different kinds of forests. My brother was, he was a forestry major at the time, and we were hiking through this, and he was pointing out all these different kinds of trees, and he's like, oh yeah, this is a hemlock stem. It's my favorite kind of tree. You know, like they're so burly and gorgeous, and, you know, it was great. And then you go through like a cedar stand, and you know how cedar wood smells. It's just wonderful, right? And all those little parts of that journey were beautiful. And some of them were hard. But yeah, the parts I remember the most, I remember the journey more than I remember the beautiful waterfall and destination and everything, where everybody would go and be like, oh, this is what you want to take the pictures of, right? But it was the path that got there that was the most memorable. And so whatever journey you're on, live it. Dig into it. Feel it. Experience it. If you're working towards a goal, work at it. Enjoy the work. Dig into the work. When you come across a challenge in the work, enjoy the process of figuring out the challenge. I ran into that today, working on some guitar parts, dealing with the recording software, trying to figure out the problem, like trying to troubleshoot through it. It's all part of the journey. And so I'd encourage you to live those moments. And sometimes they hurt. Sometimes they feel great. But it's all life. So, I don't know. That's what I got.
Awesome.
So hopefully that was good. Thank you, Anonymous.
Yep.
Thank you, Anonymous,
Yes.
so much for the topic. You about made me cry, so I appreciate that. So yeah. So we will move on to our next topic. Welcome everybody. I see there are some newer people, I think, that I assume some new names in the chat. This is Don't Worry Wednesday, the show we talk about your guys' stuff. You can go to don'tworrywednesday.com, click on the submit a topic button, and we would love to handle your topic. You can feel free to put your name in there or not. We do anonymous topics all the time. But there's also a question in there that says whether you want us to do your topic when you're present or you're not going to be present, or if it doesn't matter if you're present or not. If you want to be present, then we have to at least know what your name is so we know that you're here. Kinda.
If you want to be anonymous but still want to be present, what you need to do is write anonymous dash your name. We will keep it anonymous for the sake of the show, but
Yes.
we as the hosts and hostess of Don't Worry Wednesday will know who you are and then can kind of do our responses appropriately.
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you, Princess. You explained it so much better and cleaner than I was failing miserably. So thank you for
Both
rescuing
parts
me.
were needed. You guys did great. It's a team effort right there.
Team effort.
I was the only one that did bad.
Dude, you did awesome.
Yeah, I stayed silent. That's pretty. I was the
Dude,
backup.
you
support,
you sat
expressions.
there and looked amazing
Thank you
that
so much.
whole
Phil.
time. Man.
I love you.
I
man.
love you too.
Yeah, your chest is just the best. Most beautiful chest in the world.
Here we go with the chest again.
I'm sorry. Who have you? Okay. Anyways.
This is Don't Worry Wednesday, where we talk about my chest.
Yeah, careful with that compliment. Don't use it. Unless they're a guy.
Yeah.
Let's just say it that way.
That would be an example.
You know them well, probably.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
That's an example of man English, is right?
Yes. That's an example of man English. Yes.
Yep.
Man English.
Man English. I'll tell you
All
what.
right.
Hey, yes, you're absolutely right, sister.
Yep.
Yep. Princess is absolutely beautiful.
Agreed.
Yep, and we need to show her face more often. We could just talk in the background and have Princess's face on there.
You guys would love it. She would hate it though.
She
so we're
would.
not gonna do it.
She's shaking
Well, I
her
don't know
head.
if she would hate
right
it, but
now.
she would be like, "That's
Hate
no."
is a strong
Yeah,
word.
it would. She would hate it, but she wouldn't want to do it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And for her sake, I wouldn't want her to have to go through that either.
Yeah, that's
That's
true.
not what we're gonna do.
Yep, because we love our princess.
Mm-hmm.
And your
She-
princess loves you.
Ah, thank you.
Good.
So yes, we are going to move on to our next topic. Yes, if you're here and you want us to do your topic and you have one, just at Princess in the chat, so she knows you're here and she can set us up to do the topic. But this next topic is another anonymous topic we have. This is called How to Fight Addiction.
Yes, Princess gonna read it for us.
Yep, she is, and I'm gonna do my best to get it up on the screen. And it's you know what, I'm gonna put
It's
it
a
in
bit
really,
long.
It's a
bit
long topic. It's really wordy.
Gotta have to take some deep breaths, make sure I'm all
Yep,
prepared for
make
it.
sure, make sure.
Yeah.
That's all.
Gonna
I
be
don't
good.
have
dare you
water,
to try
but I'll
to.
have
I dare
get
you to
through
try
it.
to read the whole topic in one breath.
I'm going to put it inside. I'm gonna put it in a really big font. Gonna be
All
great.
right.
All right. All right, Princess, whenever you're ready, feel
How
free.
do you fight addiction? From Anonymous.
Ooh,
Wow. Yeah. What a mouthful.
man, I tell you, that was
It's
a
a
long,
great topic, by the
super.
way.
Oh, yes, absolutely right. So we're not using so like, I love you. So we're not using yo, what's up with your mom and dad in the chat anymore. We can.
I
You can
miss you. What's
at
up with your mom and
Princess
dad in the
yo,
chat?
what's up with your mom and dad in the chat.
Yeah.
Please do. If you're here and you have
Yeah.
a topic, just at me with yo, what's up with your mom and dad in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah.
That's
You
how
can-
we're doing this now. Is
Yep.
that makes
ask.
sense.
Yep. You can say whatever you want, just at Princess with it.
Yeah. You can say, yo, what's up your mom and dad in the chat, Princess?
Mm-hmm. But put the at in it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
At Princess.
Actually, I think on
It's
YouTube you
gonna
don't
be at
even need
Princess
to.
Yellow, right?
If you just like, if you type out someone's full name and you don't put an @ sign, it still highlights the message.
Really? Let's
I
try
believe so. You can type in static-p and it will highlight it for me, even though there's no @ in front of it.
it. Was your name just
It did.
highlighted now?
Yeah.
Really?
Apparently it doesn't need an at.
Oh, you don't even need the
Mhm.
at.
There you go.
Cool. Well, alrighty then. Yep. So just be sure you type Princess's name in there. Princess
Yeah.
Yellow. And yeah. Anyway.
To everybody typing names. Oh, please, sister, please. As many as you want.
Although yours
just
is really
don't get banned.
yours is really long. So if I was gonna draw attention to you, I would definitely use the at.
Press @ @ makes it
Because-
faster to type.
Man, otherwise I'd be typing a long time, and you'd see me doing this. Because I have to look at the keyboard when I type. I'm not good at touch typing. So anyway,
Mhm.
Ryan over there, he's just like.
Yeah,
just
but I'm
hear this
nowhere near
crazy,
as fast
like-
as our IT guy.
Oh my
Jesse.
gosh, Jesse! no kidding. That
Jesse
dude.
types between 200 and 300 words per minute.
I think we had tested one time that he's like triple my speed.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that doesn't surprise me.
We should get back to the topic.
We
We
should.
do have
Uh-huh.
a topic at hand.
We do.
We do.
It was a really long topic. Again, remember, I'm going to put it back up on the screen just in case you forgot. There it is. How do you fight addiction? From Anonymous. Thank you, Anonymous, so much for the topic. There's a lot we can say about this. There are a lot of different techniques. There's a lot of different ways to cope with this. I've definitely fought addictions, physical, emotional, mental, all kinds. And actually, I've thought about putting together a program for this at some point in time. But first thing I'm going to do is turn it over to Ryan, because he has a way of encouraging. If you are going through an addiction, I don't know. Ryan's got a way of talking that's just encouraging. It makes you feel better, even when it's a really hard time. It's incredible. So I'm going to hand it over to
Thanks,
him.
man.
So, Ryan, have at it.
Awesome. I appreciate the compliment.
Nice chest.
Thanks, man. Makes me go like that, you know?
Yeah, right?
Pops my
Hey.
chest out. Thanks, man.
Boom.
Feels good. Yeah. It's instead of like, hey, shoulders back, just tell people like, hey, nice chest. It gets the same work done.
Mm.
But anyways, yeah. I'm excited to see what Joe has to say on this, just because he has gone through a lot and really does want to put together a program or maybe write a book on it. I think that Joe has a lot of wisdom in this area, so I am excited to see what he's got to say once I'm done. So I don't know if I'm going to go for very long, but I will say I understand. The desire to quit an addiction is great. Addictions are hard. I mean, right? Obviously they're very difficult. And no one here is alone in that. Everyone here has some form of addiction in one thing or another. Or at least likely they do. I would say, and if you don't, you might be in denial. Our personalities, it's written into the way that our minds work.
Mm-hmm.
So they're outside of physical addictions, right? Because that is something. that is also part of the mind. But I'm going to talk about a mental addiction. I could talk about both. But both of them are a matter of how our subconscious mind works. Our subconscious mind, its job is to create habits
Mm.
and then execute them without us having to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so that applies to almost any addiction out there. Generally, when you have an addiction, it's not that you necessarily are thinking about it and then you must do it. It's more so that your subconscious mind is running a program that's on repeat, so you don't have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that program gets brought to your conscious mind and makes you want to actually take action to have that addiction. Whether it be smoking cigarettes or, I mean, that's the common one we talk about because that one's pretty open. We all know it's bad. But there are also all sorts of other addictions. For example, looking at people as objects, or to have certain responses. For example, you can be addicted to looking at the world in a negative way.
Mm.
You can be addicted to looking at the world in a positive way. Your perceptions are, in a way, addictions because they are habits that are ingrained into your subconscious mind, just as an addiction is. In fact, addiction really is the mechanism of your subconscious mind and what it's made to do.
Mm.
So it's very natural for us to find addictions and become addicted to things, especially things that we find or experience pleasure in.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
But not all of them are. Some things we experience pain in, and we get addicted to a pain.
Mm.
And that's a thing too. So basically, my point is, if you have an addiction, recognize that that's inherent in the way that your mind works, and that's okay. That's okay because now you understand you aren't wily or broken or sick or weird or unlike anybody else. But the beauty in that is to recognize that your subconscious mind is a part of you
Mm.
and you control its habits. So to know that an addiction is the same thing as a perspective or the same thing as riding a bike or walking, it's actually the same. It's the same mechanism within your subconscious mind, right? You can walk without thinking about it. Why? Because you've ingrained it into your subconscious mind, those muscle movements, right? They become so well known within your subconscious mind, they become entirely passive. You don't have to think about it. You can chew on bubble gum, walk, and play and fiddle with something in your hands and talk all at the same time. And the only thing your mind is making a conscious effort towards is to basically talk. You've forgotten that you're chewing gum at the same time. You've forgotten that you're moving something around your hand. You've forgotten that you're walking.
And some people forget
Because
that they're talking and they're just talking and they're thinking.
That's true. That's true.
Have you ever met
Yeah.
somebody who just talks a lot?
Oh yeah. I think we all have.
Yeah.
But
Like,
yeah.
are you even thinking about what you're saying?
Is it just coming out of you as it processes?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay. But anyhow, yeah. So that's important to understand because if you walk, you recognize that you learn to walk. If you can smell, I love that August Star just put oh no's, and that triggered a thought. If you can smell things and recognize what those things are by smell, that's your subconscious mind. That is the same mechanism that creates addictions. So to know that it's a part of your mind helps because it also lets you know that you can write over them. A lot of times we want to try to end our addictions by saying, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that addiction thing. A lot of times what we find is that's not very successful.
Mm-hmm.
Because the subconscious mind doesn't work at erasing things, actually. And that's why it's so unsuccessful. It can work, but it's incredibly rare. The subconscious mind isn't working. We're not working alongside our subconscious mind when it comes to an addiction by trying to not do something.
Mm-hmm.
Because our subconscious mind is created in order to create habits, or it exists to create habits and execute those habits, or to act out those habits for us, to call into mind those habits sometimes, or to have a perspective, right? So what you really want to do a lot of times is to find a way to overwrite a habit, to overwrite an addiction, And that can be in many different ways. And I think Joe would probably have a lot more that he could talk about on that matter. But I think that that's a really important key. And what I'm really ultimately driving at is you want to work with your subconscious mind. You don't want to work against it. You want to work alongside it because you can do a lot more for yourself if you recognize how your mind works
Mhm.
and you use it for your benefit rather than trying to turn your mind off, rather than working against your mind or working against the way that you naturally operate. I was going to say something about the physical realm of your mind. I'm not a psychiatrist or anything along those lines. So medically, I can't by any means and wouldn't ever want to um, diagnose or offer up any type of chemical substances which you could use. But I will say that there's a large amount of science, namely chemistry, which involves uh, the way that your chemicals work in your brain, right? And what's interesting is I recently read that this type of chemistry is limited because they have laws and bounds within the chemistry that they're not supposed to go over, because then it becomes a new subject altogether. And when it becomes a new subject, it no longer becomes a field. So relying solely on what's it called? The chemistry of the mind, there's a specific name for it, might actually not give you all the answers you're looking for as far as why your minds work the way they do. Easy has put a list of great, well-known chemicals that are in our brain that are operating. And these things can also be a part of our addiction. A over a lot of times, I mean, Joe could go more into that with like the realm of smoking and what it does to the mind and the feedback and the loop that it causes. With getting too many chemicals and your brain fighting off that, and then you causing I don't have enough of that chemical now, and so it causes a loop. And that can absolutely happen with anything, even outside of smoking. It can happen to entertainment, for example. Experiencing too much entertainment causes our mind to start decreasing in many, 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 many different ways. Our chemicals become spent, and our minds experience something that's called like a over um, overwhelming overexposure, basically overexposure. And what overexposure does is our brain actually shuts down specific nodes in our brain. It shuts down specific parts in our brain because of overexposure. And our brain goes, that's too much entertainment. You can no longer experience joy or experience this kind of entertainment anymore. And what happens is that part of your mind closes down. Then you build up the chemicals in your brain, but it can't access the brain part because there aren't any receptors there that are turned on to receive that chemical. So then when you've turned off the entertainment for long enough, you have an overabundance of this one chemical that just as soon as the receptors open up, it's a floodgate of chemicals, and your brain goes, there's too many of these chemicals, we have to spend them. And your subconscious mind goes, hey, I know how to spend them. Remember that addiction? And that can be any form of entertainment. That can be anything, right? And so that's the physical realm of what an addiction is. And it is a mental thing, but your brain tells you the thing that is going to, your brain tells you what's the word? Remedy. Your brain tells you what the remedy is, but it's not always right. Because the first thing that's going to come to your mind of what the remedy is are the things you've programmed it to think about a lot. Right. And it's going to put you on a track of spiraling down of a loop, right? And so I covered all of that, right? And so Anonymous, you're wondering, okay, great. That's all great stuff. I understand now. I need to work with my subconscious mind, and I understand a little bit more about the physical realm and why this is happening to me. And that's all to lead you into basically just understanding the mechanisms will help you realize when the mechanisms are at play. Understanding what the mechanisms are will help you realize when the mechanisms are at play. so you can help yourself. Not by saying, oh, I know what that is. Okay, I'm just going to ignore it. But rather, oh, I know what that is. Let's feed it a new habit. Oh, I know what that is. Let's feed it a new habit. So a great example of this is, I don't know, man, it could be so many things. Okay, let's just go with the last example, entertainment, right? You overindulge in entertainment. You experience the whole physical process I just told you about. You experience the mental and the physical process in your brain of brain parts shutting down, opening back up, too many chemicals. As to meet the receptors, you need to open up a path to experience entertainment, or else you're going to have too much of a buildup in your brain, and your brain is kind of freaking out. So what do you do, right, in that moment? To say, okay, I'm just not going to do entertainment then. Might not be a bad call, but is it going to rewrite or create a new answer for yourself? No. It's not going to cause your mind to go and say, oh, how about we do this instead, right? Because I just talked about when you've done something habitually, now your brain's going to come up with a remedy, and it's going to come up with the habitual remedy, the remedy it's always told itself since you create that habit. What you want to do right here at this moment is create the new habit, right? And that new habit can be another way to get rid of that over built up of chemicals in your brain. And that could be, oh, you know what's another interesting thing that stimulates the brain in the same way as entertainment? There's all sorts of different things, but studying. Some forms of studying can be a release of that same chemical, right? Because you can find a great joy, a great wonder, a great experience of increased, liveliness and joy and feeding on something, right? Because that's what you're doing. You're entertained. You're feeding on something, right? But you can feed on intelligence. You can feed on that intelligence that's brought by something that's studying. And now you're doing something productive with your remedy. And you have to do that enough, and eventually you're going to create a new habit where whenever you have an exposure of that chemical in your brain isn't going to go and say, I know how to fix this entertainment. Your brain's going to go, I know how to fix this. Let's look something up on the internet and let's study something, or let's open up a book, right? So it's all about shifting your movement and taking advantage of your subconscious mind. Now, that's my best logical input of all of this. Again, I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, or anything on those lines. If you want to know more about that, you could probably consult someone of a higher degree of intelligence on that, who studied that realm. But the best thing I could do, possibly, is to send you to the person who has studied it more than I have, and knows, who is experienced going through these motions more than I have firsthand. And so I'm looking forward to see what Joe's got to share with you guys.
Well, thank you, Ryan. And I really appreciate what you had to say and all the explanations, because understanding the mechanism is very, very important. I remember, when I was fighting nicotine addiction back in, 2005, I think. But I learned about all this stuff. I learned about a lot of this stuff, right? And I've been addicted to all kinds of different things, different medications, different, I had a lifestyle for a while that was prone to many addictions, let's just say, okay? And so I had to fight a bunch of them. But, and these were chemical addictions, right? These were different substances, or they may be drugs or whatever, right? And, so what do you do? Because Ryan just explained to you how it works, and he's absolutely right. And if you want to learn more about how it works, one of the best books I can refer you to is Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. He explains the subconscious mind in that book like so much better than I've read anywhere else. I mean, he just explains it. And it's interesting. You think the guy was a psychologist. He's not a psychologist. He's a plastic surgeon.
Oh, nice. Plastic surgeons can be really smart, though.
Yeah.
There's a great number of them that are incredibly intelligent.
Yeah, but what he noticed was okay, people would come in for plastic surgery because they wanted to feel better about themselves. So they wanted to change something that looked, they wanted to look different so they would feel better about themselves. But what happened was they would change the outward image, but they wouldn't change the inward image. And so that didn't fix their problem. Their problem wasn't their perceived ugly feature. The problem was their, their self-image, their subconscious mind. This, they constantly had told themselves that they were ugly. They never got past it, right? And so he started noticing this hang up with a bunch of his patients. And so he studied a bunch of this stuff and wrote this book, Psycho-Cybernetics, by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. And I would definitely recommend it. It's pretty in-depth, but it's very, very good and informative, right? So, okay, but now that Ryan's explained all this, and again, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not none of that stuff, but I have fought many addictions and conquered many addictions. And so what do you do? How do you do it? That's the real question. It's like, okay, I understand all this stuff. What do I need to do? And I remember reading this book, and it was talking about the fraud of these addictions, in particular tobacco, right? In this case, because really, you train yourself to need something chemically. It's a fraud because you don't need it until you start. And then even after you start, you don't really need it. And then after a while, though, you gain a chemical dependence on this. And what's happening chemically in your body, there's now Easy was talking about dopamine addiction. There's been a lot of new information about that's come out, that dopamine is one of the things that is inherent in just about every single chemical addiction that exists out there, is that dopamine component, right? And so that's a naturally occurring thing in our brain. And, we get that's like the feel-good juice. Well, serotonin's the happy juice. Dopamine is like, makes us feel good or something like that, right? And so we get this, we get this rush of this chemical in our system, and it makes us feel good. And so we want more of it, right? And then we get addicted to it. I know people who are addicted to their own adrenaline, thrill seekers stuff, right? But hey, it's interesting though, when it's positive, we call it a good habit. When it's negative, we call it addiction.
Yeah, but they are one and the same.
They are. It's amazing. It's habit, right? But when it comes to addiction, when it comes to actual, like, you are addicted to this chemical. I had a friend who's recently, he fought alcoholism. Alcoholism is a unique addiction because alcohol is about the only substance where you can die from the withdrawal effects of it. Like most things,
There's some other ones, but yeah.
Yeah, like
cocaine, I think. Right?
I don't think you can die from the withdrawal.
Oh, okay. I thought, meth? I know one of those you could die from withdrawal outside of alcohol, but
Maybe.
I don't know my drugs.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Alcohol is the only one I've ever heard of that you can actually die from the withdrawal symptoms. So like people in detox from alcohol, they'll have to actually give them alcohol or else they could die. Right? And so some of these things are really, really serious. And what's happened in our bodies is we have consumed a chemical or a myriad of chemicals or whatever, right? And we've consumed these. And so what our body does is it produces more chemicals to balance us out. Our body's always looking for homeostasis, which is that balance, right? Naturally, we're trying to do this. And so what happens is we ingest a chemical, whether we inhale it through smoke or we snort it in our nose or we eat it or whatever, right? We ingest this chemical. And so our body, seeking homeostasis, produces chemicals to balance us out. Then the chemical that we consumed goes down and it leaves our system a lot faster than the chemicals our body produced. And so now we're out of balance again. Our body's saying, "Oh, now we got this surplus of these chemicals now." So what do? You ingest these chemicals again to bring it back up, and then you feel back to normal again. And but in the meantime, these ones go down, and so then your body produces more, and it's this never-ending back and forth battle for balance within your body. And the only way out of that is to, you have to deal with the pain of the withdrawal until your body can get back to normal. So you eventually you have to stop. Now you can step down. There are different ways to do this, right? You don't have to go completely cold turkey every time. You can have success either way. But eventually you do have to stop ingesting the chemical that your body is creating chemicals to balance you out, right? So so how does this work? Well, if you're dealing with chemical addiction, there are 3 things that will help you through the withdrawal, the physical bodily withdrawal, better than anything I can, like they helped me in every instance, and that was lots of sleep, because when you're asleep, you're not feeling anything, or not much. If you're feeling enough of it, you're awake, right? Because it wakes you up. But so lots of sleep, because it gets you through the time. It helps you pass the time. Lots of water, because it flushes your system out. So drink lots and lots of water. So it'll help, like flush out the chemicals you've ingested, and also will dilute the chemicals that your body's producing as well. So it'll just kind of help, just all of it, just flush it. And then exercise. And I would recommend something cardio, that makes you breathe a lot, that makes your heart beat, that makes you pump more blood faster through your system, to cycle the chemicals in your blood through your system faster, and also bringing in more oxygen. Just anything that increases that respiration is going to help cycle all this stuff out of you faster. So sleep, exercise, particular cardiovascular exercise, and water. And those are going to help you push through the withdrawals of whatever it is chemically you're dealing with. Now, you're going to have to also deal with the psychological side of things. Most chemical addictions take a matter of a few days to get out of your system. Maybe 3 days. And your body will be back. So then, but people will quit for a few days, and then they'll be right back in. And it's not the chemical addiction at that point. At that point, it's the psychological side. It's the fact that you've done this activity so much that you've programmed yourself that it's normal. And so when you're not doing it, you don't feel normal. And so then how do you deal with that? That's the bigger battle, because that takes a lot longer. Ryan was talking about the subconscious mind, how powerful that is. We've talked about many times on this show, it takes 28 days to create a new habit. And I would say it takes an extra week. So what's that, 35? 35 days to really cement it into place. So I'm reading the chats here about withdrawal symptoms. So this is good. But anyway, okay, so how do you deal with the psychological side of this addiction? There are a few different things, but what you have to do is you have to reprogram your subconscious mind. One of the most effective ways I learned to do this is through self-hypnosis. Okay, and what you do is you breathe deeply, you take deep breaths. I would lay down. I would make my hands and my feet feel like they were made of cement. I would imagine that they were made of cement, so I couldn't move them. And what happens is, when you feel like you can't move your hands and your feet, you automatically, your arms and your legs just kind of relax, because they feel so heavy. And you get into this relaxed state. And you take deep breaths, And you can count if you want for your breaths, but I would just say, inhale as deeply as you can, fill your lungs from with your diaphragm and your chest, because you're going to breathe in and your belly will go out. And then you can finish breathing in by having your chest kind of go up, right? And then let it out. Don't push the breath out, but just let it out, relax, and let the breath out. And you do that a handful of times until you get into this relaxed state. And okay, so then when you finally get into this relaxed state, now you're ready to start imagining yourself going down this flight of stairs. So with each breath that you take, with each time you inhale and exhale, you take a step down a staircase. So you take one step with an inhale, exhale. You do it again, another step. And do this for 10 steps. And at the bottom of this staircase is a location that makes you feel at peace. A location that, you might consider it your ideal spot. For me, it was a beach. There was a breeze. The sky was orange. Don't ask me why the sky's orange. The sky was orange. There's water. I could hear the waves. I could hear it. And get all your senses involved and really be there. You feel the sand in your toes. You feel the sand under your butt or the towel that you're sitting on or whatever, right? And then you can feel the breeze and you smell the beach air. And the sky was orange probably because that's how it kind of was. Anytime it was mid to late afternoon, everything kind of turned orange when I was at the beach as a kid. I just remember that being that way. And I just remember that being so great. So what you're going to do then, you're going to hang out at this place for a while, at this ideal spot. And you're just going to look around and be relaxed. And the cool thing is what happens by the time you're here. I remember doing this. I did this every day for over a month. And it was wonderful. Because what happens is you feel like your body's gone. And you feel like a consciousness only. Like, because you've gone through this exercise and you get to this point, you're so deep within your mind that your body, it feels like it doesn't really even exist anymore. It's a really cool experience. So then after you hang out there for a while, just a few minutes, now it's time to go down another staircase. And you do the same thing you did before. You go down 10 steps with each breath. When you get to the bottom of this staircase, there's nothing. This is where they would say you are in your subconscious mind. And this is where you can start feeding your subconscious mind images. Our subconscious mind does not work with words. We cannot tell ourselves something and have it take root in our subconscious mind. There has to be an image, and it has to be full image. It has to be like full feeling, like you see it, you taste it, you smell it, you touch it, you get all your senses involved, right? That's how we reprogram our subconscious mind. And one of the most important things when you're in this reprogramming of your subconscious mind is think replacements for the activity that you're doing. Think the opposite. What will you be doing instead of this activity? And one thing that really, really helped a lot was to imagine swimming in clean water. like the cleanest, clearest water you can possibly imagine, because there's a double effect here. One, most of the time you think of swimming, that's a very healthy thing to do. Very healthy. It's one of the best forms of exercise you can get, is swimming. So that's one thing. It's going to be the opposite of pretty much any unhealthy activity, because it's a very healthy activity, right? But then the other thing is you're imagining yourself basically being washed, because you're in the cleanest, clearest water. So you're washing yourself from this addiction. You're washing yourself clean of whatever it is that you're hooked on. Whether it's a drug, whether it's an activity, whether it's a thought process, whatever, you can clean yourself by swimming in this crystal clear water. And other than that, like, okay, so for instance, in my case, nicotine, smoking cigarettes, right? When I was going through this, when I learned this process, that was the addiction I was fighting. And so I would think, okay, what are things I would be doing instead of smoking? Running, jogging, hiking, doing stuff outside, playing, having all this energy, being in good shape, like what, all these things that are the opposite of the lifestyle of being hooked on tobacco. So you feed yourself these images. What can life look like free from this addiction? And you stay there for a while and just exist in that life of non-addiction. And then you can come back out after a few minutes. You don't have to step back up the stairs. You can just kind of rise up and be fine. It's no big deal. It's not like you're going to get the bends or anything from coming up too fast. But yeah, I'm telling you, that process of visualization. Now, you don't have to go that deep. That's deep self-hypnosis, right? When you talk about the staircase, getting to your happy place, another staircase, getting to the void of nothing, and then when you're in that void, then you're feeding yourself these images. That's like deep level. And you might not necessarily get there the first time. It might take some practice. But you can visualize, you can take, and that was usually about a 30-minute process to do that. But you can take 5 minutes and just relax in a chair and take some deep breaths and visualize. Just kind of close your eyes and visualize the stuff that I was talking about. You're feeding your subconscious mind, those images of life without the addiction. You can do that at a shallower level and it's still effective. Just through leaning back, taking some deep breaths, relaxing, and then closing your eyes, and your imagination will free you from that psychological addiction. Because one of the greatest things about our subconscious mind, it works on memories, right? But there is no difference in our subconscious mind. There's no difference between an actual memory or a vividly imagined memory. If you have all of your senses involved, your subconscious isn't going to know the difference. It will treat it as real. And you can reprogram your subconscious mind to free yourself from those addictions. So I've talked for a while. I apologize, but there was a lot to say. There's some stuff in the chat. I'm imagining swimming in deionized water. It feels hard. What time and place would I usually undergo this process? And were those times and places consistent each day? Yes. In my case, they were, because I had a full-time job that had a regular schedule. It doesn't have to be, but in my case, it was generally around 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night. just because that by that time I was done with work, I'd eat some dinner, and then I'd go and I'd do my exercise. Yeah. So it is really, really it's an interesting experience. But I don't know. Hopefully that answers the question. Physically speaking, water, sleep, exercise. But then psychologically speaking, use the information that Ryan taught, about the mechanism of the subconscious mind and work with it. Understand the subconscious mind creates habits for us, and it works in images. You don't get to tell yourself, I'm not going to be a smoker anymore, or I'm not going to do cocaine anymore, or I'm not going to do whatever anymore, right? I'm not going to play this video game anymore. I'm not going to, you can't just tell yourself that to reprogram. You have to envision the opposite, visualize the opposite with all of your senses, and do it habitually. And in that, over that period of time, over about a month, you can reprogram your subconscious mind. And I remember it was pretty crazy. 2 weeks into this whole process of doing this, 2 weeks, 14 days, I felt like I had never, ever in my life smoked a cigarette because I'd reprogrammed myself. It's crazy. But again, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not any of those things.
And for those of you out there that might have trouble with some of your senses, you don't have to engage literally every sense in order to get results, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Just as
Like
many
if
as you
you
can.
can't visualize stuff physically in your mind, you can still try and imagine other things and help that with the reprogramming process. But don't give up because you think, oh well, I can't see images like that, or I can't hear things like that. I can't engage in that way and think, oh, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just working on finding a way that does work.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I would encourage you to get as many of the senses as you can involved. But if you can't, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Just do what you can. And it can be done. People have done it. My friend who defeated alcoholism, right? Now he's been sober for a while now, which is great. But the poor guy, he had to detox in jail. That'd be hard. But anyway, I don't know. That's pretty much what I got. Ryan, did you have anything else?
No. You guys in the chat are hilarious and wise. I love you guys. And I don't have anything to add on to it. I think you did fantastic covering it. And anonymous, I hope that if nothing was new, although I'm sure something was, but if nothing was new, we at least can encourage you to continue the process you might already be on.
Mm-hmm.
If you learn anything new here, I think that's awesome, and I'm just ultimately hope and pray for the best, so that you can form your mind to have great and good, healthy habits rather than bad habits.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and honestly, that's each and every one of us. So.
Yep. And I'm going to add a little bit to this disclaimer that we always have. We're not professional psychologists, psychiatrists, or anything like that. This information is for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah. Don't do or say any of the things we have spoken of and done today. But please do. No.
It's worth a shot, and it's not going to hurt you.
Yeah, it's worth a shot.
It's not going to hurt you to visualize some good stuff in your brain, right? Mm-hmm. So it'll be kind of fun. So again, thank you guys so much for being here. If you have a topic you'd like us to cover on Don't Worry Wednesday, you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com, click the submit a topic button, and then fill out the form. We would be happy to do whatever topic you have to offer. And yeah, we love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Ryan, thank you for such a great show. Princess, thank you so much for all of your wonderfulness that you bring, because you
Mhm.
do bring a lot of wonderfulness. She's
Thanks
not
for all the
even
wonderful.
smiling as I'm saying that. It's so funny.
Now she smiles.
There we go.
She's just like tsundere, I guess. No.
All right. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. But anyway, guys, you are awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you next week on Don't Worry Wednesday. Until then, have a wonderful life. And we love you. Take care, you guys.
God bless. Have a great night. Bye now. Peace.
Bye. I had to show Princess with the heart there. Ha.
Nice.
Good night, you guys. Love you.